All right, today we're diving into a new kind of Python notebook that's been making some serious waves. It's called Marimo, and honestly, it's promising to fix some of the biggest pains that we've all felt with traditional notebooks. So let's get right into it and see what makes it so different.
So let's kick things off with a pretty wild question. What if your notebook, the one you use for all your data crunching and exploration, what if that could also be your final, polished app? I mean, think about it. The same file, no rewriting, no separate deployment headache, just done.
Well, the answer to that question, it looks exactly like this. And let's be super clear here. What you're seeing isn't just a static report. No, this is a live, fully interactive web app, and it was built straight from a Marimo notebook. You've got clickable buttons, live date pickers. You can even select something in one chart and watch another view update instantly. It's all happening in real time.
And that right there is the whole idea behind Marimo. It's an open source notebook that was built from day one with this idea of reusability in mind. The exact same code you write for your data exploration can be run as a plain old Python script, or it can be deployed as that slick interactive app we just saw. One notebook, multiple uses.
Okay, so how does it actually do all this? What's the secret sauce? Well, it all comes down to one powerful concept, reactivity. And this isn't just a buzzword. It's the key to solving what is maybe the single most frustrating problem with notebooks, something called hidden state.
Oh man, the slide. If you've ever used a notebook, you know this pain. We've all been there. On the left, that's the classic mess. You change one cell up top, but you forget to rerun a cell down below. Now that bottom cell is totally wrong. It's holding on to stale data, and you might not even realize it. But look at the right side. That's the Marimo way. You change that first cell, and boom, the other cell just updates automatically, instantly. No more run all cells paranoia.
And that, in a nutshell, is what we mean by reactivity. It's simple, really. You change a variable, doesn't matter if it's in code or a UI slider, and Marimo just figures out every single cell that uses that variable and automatically reruns them for you. The result? Your notebook is always consistent. Always. So you might be wondering, how does it know what to update? It's not magic, it's actually pretty smart. Behind the scenes, Marimo builds a sort of family tree for your code. You know, an engineer would call this a Directed Acyclic Graph, or a DAG, but family tree is a perfect way to think about it. So let's say step 1 is a slider that sets a variable. Step 2 uses that variable to crunch some numbers. Step 3 uses those numbers to make a chart. Marimo sees that whole chain, that whole family tree. So when you move that slider, it knows exactly which children and grandchildren in the code family need to be updated, and it does it in the right order every single time.
So what's the big payoff here? Well, it's huge. Fewer bugs. Seriously, the order you run your cells in, it just doesn't matter anymore. That whole class of bugs is gone. It helps you avoid those messy global variables that can cause chaos. And get this, it even warns you if you accidentally try to redefine a variable, which, let's be honest, is a super common and confusing mistake in other notebooks.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This whole reactive foundation, it isn't just about squashing bugs. It's the bedrock for a whole bunch of features that make for a way smarter coding experience.
Because once your tool actually understands how all your code is connected, well, it can start helping you out in some really clever ways.
First up, check this out. A built-in AI partner. And the keyword here is built-in. This isn't some clunky add-on. You can literally give it context, like, hey, look at this entire data frame I have loaded, and then ask it to write the code for you. And when it spits out the code, one click, and bam, it's a new cell in your notebook. It's so seamless, you don't even have to think about it.
Okay, here's another thing that drives us all crazy, right? You're in the zone, coding away, and then you have to stop. Open a new browser tab, Google a function's documentation. Your flow is just gone.
Well, Marimo says never again. It brings the documentation directly to you. All you have to do is hover your mouse over a function and the docs just appear right there next to your code. No more context switching. It sounds like a small thing, but it is a total game changer for staying focused.
Now, for all the data folks out there, this next one is just, wow. Imagine you've got your data loaded into a pandas data frame right there in memory. What if you could just run SQL queries on it? No setting up a database, no extra libraries to configure, just write SQL. That's exactly what you can do. It's powered by DuckDB, and it is fantastic. You run your query, and what you get back isn't just some boring text printout. No, you get this beautiful, interactive table. You can see data distributions at a glance,
page through thousands of rows, and even just click a button to download the results as a CSV. It's like having a mini data explorer tool baked right into your notebook.
Okay, so Marimo clearly makes the actual coding part a whole lot better. But what about everything that comes after? You know, the stuff that's often the most painful part, versioning your code, making sure others can run it, and actually deploying it as an app.
If you have ever tried to use Git for version control on a regular notebook, you know the absolute nightmare on the left side of this slide. That Git diff, it's just a wall of unreadable JSON. You have no idea what line of code actually changed. It's a disaster for code reviews. But then, look at the right. That's a Git diff for a Marimo notebook. It's just clean, simple Python. You can see exactly what changed. This turns code reviews from a total chore into something you can actually do.
And this all comes from one simple but profound decision. Marimo notebooks are just saved as plain Python files. That's it, not some complicated JSON format. This is what makes version control so easy, but it also unlocks true reproducibility. You can even list your project's dependencies, like pandas or matplotlib, right in the comments. And it works with modern tools like UV, so anyone can grab your file and get it running with the exact right setup first try.
And when you're ready to share your masterpiece, the deployment options are incredibly flexible. Sure, you can run it as a normal Python script or wrap it up in a Docker container, but the real showstopper is the ability to deploy it to run entirely in the browser, using something called WebAssembly or WASM. Now, what does that mean? It means you can host your fully interactive app on a simple, free static site like GitHub Pages. No server to manage, no backend to worry about. It just works.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. Why does any of this really matter? Because what we're looking at isn't just a notebook with a few extra bells and whistles. This is a fundamental shift in how we approach interactive programming with Python.
When you boil it all down, the Marimo advantage really rests on 4 key pillars. First, it's reliable. That reactive core gets rid of all those nasty state errors. Second, it's reusable. Your notebook is your app, period. Third, it's reproducible. We're talking plain text files and clear dependencies so your work actually runs for other people. And finally, it's integrated. Tools like AI and SQL aren't just tacked on, they're a core part of the workflow.
So in the end, you see that Marimo isn't just trying to be a better notebook. It's really making a case for a totally new way to work. It's about a more reliable, more powerful, and frankly, more modern approach to doing interactive programming and building data apps in Python.
Which brings us to the final question, and it's one you should probably ask yourself about your own workflow. After seeing everything we've talked about today, is your current notebook actually holding you back?